Something terrible is coming to Fraser's Ridge, and the warning may already be written in the past. A prophecy, a burned home, and a war that refuses to stay away. Episode 2 of Outlander Season 8, titled Prophecies, is about to push every character toward a future they may not be able to escape. And if the early hints are right, the peace the Frasers hoped for might be shattered sooner than anyone expected. After the emotional return to Fraser's Ridge in the season premiere, Episode 2 seems ready to shift the story into much darker territory. The title Prophecies already suggests that fate, warnings, and hidden truths will play a major role. And for Jamie and Claire Fraser, the past and the future are beginning to collide in a way that feels impossible to control. The first signs of trouble appear when the fragile peace at the Ridge is suddenly shaken by a violent tragedy. The small community that Jamie worked so hard to build now faces fear and uncertainty once again. Life on the frontier has never been easy, but this moment feels different. It feels like the beginning of something much larger, something that may spread far beyond their home. For Jamie, protecting the Ridge has always been his greatest responsibility. But the new settlers living there may soon play a much bigger role than anyone expected. When danger strikes, the Frasers will have to rely on these neighbors in ways they never have before. Trust will become the most valuable thing in the entire community. At the same time, Jamie and Claire are still carrying the emotional weight of a devastating discovery. Learning that their daughter lived and died without their knowledge has left a wound that cannot easily heal. The grief is quiet but powerful, and it shapes the way they now see the people around them. Their love for family has always been their strength, but now it also brings painful reminders of what they lost. That is why Fanny suddenly becomes so important to them. In many ways, she represents a second chance to protect someone who needs them. Jamie and Claire want to give her safety, stability, and trust. But the truth about her past still hangs over everything. For now, they choose silence, believing that revealing too much too soon could destroy the fragile bond they are trying to build. Yet secrets have a way of coming to the surface in Outlander. And in a season built around prophecies and hidden truths, it is hard to imagine that this secret will stay buried forever. Another shadow over the Ridge comes from Frank's mysterious book. Inside its pages are warnings that feel almost impossible to ignore. One line in particular stands out: the suggestion that Jamie Fraser may die as the war moves closer to their home. Claire has spent years fighting against fate itself, but reading those words forces both of them to confront a terrifying question. Is the future already written? Jamie may try to push those fears aside, but war has a strange way of pulling him back in. Even when he wants peace, history refuses to leave him alone. The American Revolution is growing stronger with every passing moment, and its impact will eventually reach every corner of the colonies. And when it does, Jamie Fraser will almost certainly be standing in the middle of it. But Episode 2 isn't just about war or prophecy. It is also about the fragile relationships that connect everyone at Fraser's Ridge. New families are settling there, bringing their own beliefs, secrets, and ambitions. Some of them appear helpful and kind. Others feel far more difficult to understand. One family in particular begins to attract Jamie's attention: the Cunninghams. Captain Charles Cunningham presents himself as a respectable man, a former British officer who now wants a peaceful life among the settlers. On the surface, he seems polite and dependable. But Jamie has spent his life reading people, and something about Cunningham feels slightly off. It's not something he can easily explain. It's simply a feeling, the kind of instinct that has kept him alive through wars, prisons, and betrayal. And if Jamie Fraser senses danger, there is usually a reason for it. Then there is Elizabeth Cunningham, a woman whose harsh behavior immediately creates tension within the community. Her strict beliefs and quick temper make her difficult to trust, especially after her shocking treatment of young Mandy. The moment sends a clear signal that the Cunninghams may not share the same values as the Frasers. Still, the Ridge is a place where people must work together to survive. Even those who distrust one another must cooperate when danger approaches. And if the coming tragedy threatens the entire settlement, Jamie may have no choice but to rely on people he barely knows. Which raises an important question. What if the people he depends on are hiding their own plans? As Episode 2 moves forward, every small detail begins to feel like part of a much larger puzzle. The hanged men discovered in the woods, the tension between settlers, the warnings inside Frank's book, and the strange behavior of the Cunningham family. Each piece hints that something serious is about to happen. And if the title Prophecies means what it suggests, the characters may already be walking toward a future they cannot escape. The only question now is whether they will recognize the warning signs before it's too late. Because sometimes the future doesn't arrive quietly. Sometimes it arrives with fire. While tension slowly grows at Fraser's Ridge, another story is unfolding that could change everything for one of the most conflicted characters in the series, William. After learning the truth about his real father, William's world has been completely turned upside down. The identity he believed in for his entire life suddenly feels uncertain, and instead of facing it directly, he reacts in the only way he knows how, by running from it. Episode 1 already showed how deeply the truth affected him. He stepped away from his duties, drowned his frustration in alcohol, and wandered without direction. For someone who spent his life believing in honor, duty, and family legacy, discovering that Jamie Fraser is his true father has shaken the foundation of everything he thought he knew. The strange part is that Jamie is not the kind of man most people would reject. In fact, Jamie Fraser is respected, admired, and even feared by many. William knows this. He has seen Jamie's courage with his own eyes. Yet the truth still feels impossible for him to accept. It is not really about Jamie himself. It is about the sudden collapse of the life William believed was his. And now, in episode 2, William may finally begin to search for something new, a purpose. That possibility begins when he meets Amaranthus Grey and her child. Their situation is tragic, and their future uncertain. At first, William reacts with coldness and frustration. His anger toward the world spills out onto the people around him. But over time, something begins to shift. Amaranthus is vulnerable, but she is also strong. She has already faced loss, and she understands what it means to survive when life takes away everything familiar. In many ways, she represents the kind of strength William has been struggling to find in himself. Protecting her and the child could become the purpose he desperately needs. This connection might slowly change William's path. Instead of running from his identity, he may begin shaping a new one. And in a story filled with fathers, sons, and complicated legacies, William's journey could become one of the most emotional arcs of the season. But while William is trying to rebuild his sense of self, danger may already be closing in on people connected to Jamie and Claire. One of the most worrying hints from the episode 2 trailer appears to involve Fergus and Marzali. Their story has always been tied closely to the Fraser family, and viewers have been waiting a long time to see them return to the main storyline. But if the clues from the trailer are correct, their situation could be far more dangerous than anyone expected. Fergus has never been afraid to stand up for what he believes in. That courage is part of what makes him such a powerful character. But in a time when rebellion and loyalty can mean life or death, being labeled a rebel can lead to terrible consequences. And the colonies are becoming more unstable by the day. If Fergus becomes involved in the growing resistance against British control, the risks for him and his family could become enormous. Authorities have already begun punishing suspected rebels with brutal public warnings. Arrests, hangings, and burned homes are becoming more common as tensions rise. That is why one moment from the trailer has many viewers worried. A mysterious figure appears in a scene that seems connected to Marzali. The atmosphere is tense, almost tragic. It raises the frightening possibility that something terrible may have happened to their home or to Fergus himself. If their lives have been destroyed by political conflict, there is only one place they would likely turn to for help: Fraser's Ridge. Jamie and Claire have always protected the people they consider family, and Fergus and Marzali are no exception. If they arrive at the ridge seeking safety, Jamie will do everything in his power to shield them from whatever danger follows. But protecting them may not be simple. Because if the British authorities begin hunting rebels in the area, Fraser's Ridge could become a target. Jamie has tried many times to stay away from the war growing around him, but history keeps pulling him back toward the center of it. And this time, the consequences might reach everyone living on the ridge. Meanwhile, Brianna and Roger are finally reunited with Jamie and Claire. Their return brings one of the most emotional moments of the season so far. After everything this family has endured across time, seeing them together again reminds us why Outlander has always been a story about love, loyalty, and sacrifice. Jamie's quiet moments with his grandchildren show a softer side of him that fans rarely get to see. The powerful warrior who once led armies now finds peace in simple family moments. It is a reminder that everything he fights for ultimately comes down to the people he loves. But even during these joyful reunions, the shadow of the future remains. The war is approaching, and according to Frank's warning, Jamie Fraser may not survive what is coming. Claire refuses to believe that fate is already decided. She has spent years defying time itself, and she knows better than anyone that the future can change. But reading those words still plants a seed of fear in her mind. Because if the prophecy is true, every decision Jamie makes from this point forward could lead him closer to the end. As episode 2 continues, the feeling of approaching danger becomes impossible to ignore. Small conflicts begin to grow. Suspicion spreads among the settlers. And the peaceful life Jamie built at Fraser's Ridge begins to feel more fragile than ever before. Something is about to happen that will test every relationship in the community. And when the tragedy mentioned in the episode's synopsis finally arrives, it may force the Frasers to confront a terrifying reality. The prophecy may already be unfolding. As episode 2 moves closer to its most intense moments, the quiet tension surrounding Fraser's Ridge begins to transform into something far more dangerous. The peaceful settlement that Jamie built with so much hope now feels like a place standing on the edge of chaos. And the tragedy mentioned in the episode's synopsis may be the spark that ignites everything. One of the most unsettling signs appears in the woods surrounding the ridge. Earlier hints about the hanged men already created a dark atmosphere. And in episode 2 those discoveries may finally reveal their true meaning. Public executions during this time were often meant to send a message, a warning to anyone who dared to challenge authority. Seeing bodies hanging in the forest is not just horrifying. It is a signal that fear is spreading across the colonies. For Jamie Fraser, this is more than just a disturbing sight. It is a reminder of the brutal reality of the coming war. The American Revolution is no longer a distant political conflict. It is becoming something personal, something that could reach every family living on the frontier. And if rebels are already being punished in such a public way, the danger facing people like Fergus suddenly becomes very real. This is where the idea of prophecy becomes even more important. Throughout Outlander, prophecies have always existed in the background. Mysterious predictions about bloodlines, destiny, and the future. Some of them seemed vague at first, almost like myths whispered through generations. But now, many of those warnings feel closer than ever. Frank's book continues to haunt Claire's thoughts. The simple statement suggesting Jamie's death during the war refuses to leave her mind. Claire has always believed in science and logic, yet she has also lived through experiences that defy explanation. Time travel itself is proof that the impossible can become real. So the question remains, if the book describes Jamie's fate, is it history, or is it a warning? Jamie, on the other hand, tries to face the situation with the calm strength he has always carried. He knows that war may be unavoidable, but he also knows that fear of the future cannot control the way he lives today. His focus remains on protecting the people around him, especially the growing community at Fraser's Ridge. Yet protecting everyone may soon become impossible. The presence of the Cunningham family continues to raise questions. Captain Charles Cunningham presents himself as helpful and cooperative, especially during difficult moments in the settlement. When the Ridge faces tragedy, he may appear ready to step forward and support the other settlers. But Jamie's instincts remain cautious. Years of experience have taught him that trust should never be given too easily, especially during uncertain times. A former British officer living among settlers who may support the rebellion creates a complicated situation. Cunningham's true loyalties are still unclear, and that uncertainty could become dangerous if conflict reaches the Ridge. Then there is Elizabeth Cunningham, whose strict and harsh personality has already created tension with the Fraser family. Her reaction toward Mandy shocked many people in the community, and it revealed a side of her that feels deeply unforgiving. Her strong religious beliefs and rigid view of right and wrong make her unpredictable. Some viewers have even begun wondering if her behavior hides a deeper story. Her dark clothing and cold attitude suggest that she may be grieving someone she lost. If that is true, it could explain part of her bitterness, but it could also mean she carries emotional wounds that might influence her decisions in unexpected ways. And when grief mixes with fear and political conflict, the results can become explosive. As the episode builds toward its final moments, the tragedy mentioned in the synopsis likely forces the entire Ridge to come together. Whether it is a violent attack, a burned home, or another shocking event, the community will have to respond quickly to survive. The settlers who once lived side by side in relative peace must now decide who they truly trust. Jamie will once again take on the role of leader, guiding the people of the Ridge through another crisis. But leadership during peaceful times is very different from leadership during fear and uncertainty. Because when danger arrives, even strong communities can fracture. Meanwhile, Brianna and Roger may face their own emotional test. One moment in the trailer shows Brianna asking Roger a haunting question: whether he would remain at the ridge if something happened to her. It is a quiet but powerful line, and it suggests that Brianna may already sense the risks surrounding them. Brianna has always been strong, independent, and brave, much like her father. But living in the past comes with dangers she understands very well. If the conflict spreading through the colonies reaches their home, she knows that no one is truly safe. Her question to Roger may simply be fear speaking, or it may be a warning about what is coming. By the end of episode 2, it becomes clear that the peaceful chapter the Frasers hoped for may already be ending. The ridge is changing, the war is moving closer, and the mysterious prophecies surrounding Jamie's fate continue to grow more unsettling. Yet if there is one thing Outlander has always shown, it is that Jamie and Claire Fraser never faced the future alone. Their strength comes from family, loyalty, and the deep bond they share with the people they love. No matter what prophecy says, they will fight for their future. But the biggest question remains: are they fighting against destiny or walking directly toward it?